not gonna ever age. Stay the same age as he is. Like, you know, he's still 14 or whatever, 15, but he's older, wiser, knows more because Zetsu, the DNA in him, generated a whole entire wide variety of stuff that like was recorded from whatever and learned over time. Because probably Zetsu was recording all the stuff that, you know, he knew from before he got it. Yeah. Like, and that's also, that's referring to the other theory that I have where he never trained or anything. He never knew Madara before this, and this is like all that just like out of there. But Zetsu saved him, and then that's how he knows all this stuff because Madara was in Zetsu. Zetsu was recorded everything that Madara wanted him to record in his memory, so that's what happened. Yeah. Carrying on his legacy, though, that was all he wanted to do. He had to pretty much convince Toby to be like, well, Obito, he's like, okay, so you do realize that now since you don't belong in the world, I want you to have a different name. And he's like, oh, what do you mean a different name? I'm pretty much gonna say you're evil. And then he's like, well, I mean, I can see what you mean about all the like stuff, and this is referring to if he didn't know. To Obito before, Madara before that, and yeah, if he didn't know Madara before that, he'd be like, why would I want to be evil? But if he did know Madara before that, he was evil the whole entire time. He'd be like, okay, I got your first mission for you. This is your first initiation to your new life. What I taught you back when you were a regular person has nothing to do with this now. Now you go by a totally different name. You are a different person. Your name is Toby. And he's like, Toby. Don't you think that people, you know, watching this manga series or anime series is gonna be suspicious since we had that episode where I died it, and Madara's just like, well, I think the guy who writes this stuff just wants to be cliche and just have the best friend come back as the evil villain. Oh yeah, nice. So I'm just gonna be the douchey one and play like a badass until they finally realize that I was trolling them the whole time. Yep. Okay. Yeah. I'll do that. And so that's where the mask comes in. He's like, you must wear this mask at all times because somebody might recognize your face. I covered up your chakra scent with all the Zetsu and planted in you. It's flowing through your bloodstream and your chakra stream, so you have a lot more chakra now. You know a lot more, and this is what's going on. And so he never had time to train this body. He just like got his weapons and his new cloak and all that. And this was his first mission. This was his training mission, his body and soul. This was like, if he pulls this off, this is it. Like, and this refers to if he was evil the whole time. He knew that he was training the whole entire time up to that point where he didn't know what was going to happen. Like, at the Canopy Bridge was when he set off all ties. He didn't know what was going to happen. Madara didn't want him to know what was going to happen. He just wanted him to trust him. And that's what he did. He trusted him. And now he's Toby, masked-faced, never going to reveal himself ever again. And this is why he has to do all this. It was because he needs to get on with it. He needs to go. And, like, he was already told by somebody, like, that's why he knew. He was told by everybody that the 4th was going to be here on this night. The Nine Tails is the weakest at this point. We're going to get the Nine Tails back. Come on, let's do this. And so, Toby goes in. I don't know if he might have aid. You never know. Maybe someone might have aided him in this. Takes out the guards using his new Kumi technique that he'd been training without his Kumi. He was just like, he never actually unlocked his Sharingan until before this. He was just learned about it. Trained a little bit. I mean, you have to give him an idea that he trained a tiny bit or longer. Maybe Zetsu gave him this ability to use the Kumi kind of thing. Maybe Madara implanted like cells to generate more of a sense of learning how to use his eye. Maybe Madara taught him how to use his eye, or maybe he had to train in a different dimension. Like I don't know if you've heard that theory where he trained in Kumi dimension and he was just there the whole time, and it might go faster, slower, like Dragon Ball Z kind of thing, where he trained how to use all his powers within that time. I don't know. My theory has nothing to do with that though. He just had to learn all that stuff beforehand, and this was his test drive, and this is why he knew what he could do. He just didn't know how to do it yet. Of course, probably while he was regenerating, the Zetsu DNA was making his eye much more pleasant and learned how to use it better. And so when he was fighting the fourth, he wasn't surprised about his stuff at all because he knew how he was gonna fight. He knew everything. He knew all the seals and all that. So he unsealed that. He grabbed Naruto and was like, "Oh, I'm gonna kick your dick." And later on, he probably wished he just put because now Naruto is giving him issues and all. Oh my god. Oh, I talk too much. And so, after all this happened, and he was fighting the fourth, and the fourth was like, "Oh, well, you can't move this fast." And I was like, "Well, I don't know. I think I can." He planned all this. Like, he knew how to fight the fourth Hokage since he knew his techniques. He knew how everything would go. He knew if he could trick the fourth into thinking that he's somebody else and he's this older person. Yeah, that's why wearing the mask helped. He knew what was gonna happen at this point, but when he was fighting the fourth, he noticed that like, oh, I'm getting a little bit outmatched here, and so he's running, and that's when the fourth figured out his technique. Excuse me, and he threw the kunai. Excuse me again. And as he was burping, he did Rasengan against his face. Actually, his arm, destroying this part. And as you saw, I was like half blood, half Zetsu just coming out of here. And Zetsu's just like, oh, no. He's just like, oh, that's too bad. I didn't see that coming, and he was pretty shocked that he didn't see that coming, and that the fourth learned that so fast. I think that's where I was actually kind of shocked. I mean, you gotta admit, he this is his first try. He thought he was gonna do it, and then the fourth tricks him. He's like, dang it. And then that's when the fourth unseals the thing. He's like, oh no! And he kind of fails the mission, but at least he doesn't die, so it's not a complete failure. And this comes to this second part of the thing. After he meets with all that, he meets with a number of years later. He meets with he said that he gave Nagato the Rinnegan. I'm trying to think about stuff. Gave Nagato the Rinnegan. That means probably what's his name? Who's his name? Madara had to have given Nagato the Rinnegan. Told like when Minato called Toby Madara, that's when also he probably was told by Madara to keep that legacy alive. He then also probably related everything back, and once he talked to Itachi, Itachi knew who he was, Nagato knew who his identity was, and Kisame knew his identity. That was when Kisame saw him with the whatchamacallits, the whatever that one. I don't know all the other Kage's names. I only know Hokage and Raikage. I think it was the Misukage or whatever. Yeah, he saw him with that guy, and that's how they knew each other, and they formed an alliance from then on. Itachi knew him because he helped him murder the Uchiha clan. This is all number of years later in miscellaneous places. He just, after a certain amount of time, he just disappeared, never really seen it after that. Well, until decided to come out of hiding again and be back in the Akatsuki. Back in like former after. Oh, what's his name? Is it Shuzan? No, it's not Shuzan. No. Hold on 1 second. So the guy, puppet guy. I'm gonna look it up. Okay, Sasori. Okay, I was somewhat right. So Sasori was Deidara's partner, right? Well, what was I talking about? Yeah. The people who didn't know that Toby was Obito or Maj or was Conan, Sasori, Deidara, and well, Conan actually figures out later. Actually, Sasori and Deidara. That's pretty much it. Conan kind of knew, but she didn't really get the comprehension of it. And she studied his moves. I mean, I think she actually did know. So that left Nagato, Conan, and Tachi and Kisame, and well, of course Zetsu. If Zetsu is a part of him, you can't really say that. He never really wants to explain that Zetsu is a part of him. Though. Like Zetsu was there because of Toby. Toby was there because of Zetsu. That's why kind of Zetsu I'm actually looking at a picture. That's why they kind of look like each other. And also the fact that they're split down the middle. Oh, it's a light, dark, light, dark. You know, Zetsu kind of represents Toby in that way. If it, either way, Toby, light, dark. But so anyway, on to that. Toby came in after Sasori's death. Sasori was like, oh, I'm dead. So Toby came after Sasori's death. So Sasori, after Sasori's death, he took his ring, put it on his finger, and was Deidara's new partner. They never knew he was playing the naive one. Like that's why the cat thing, and like he was always doing chores or always late. That's where the naive part with me comes in. He was always evil. He just was hiding it, like in the Akatsuki when he was hiding it. He was just like, oh no, only using paper bombs and all that stuff that could make it happen. So Sasori Deidara only really did it. They're just like, okay, we don't know who this guy is, and so when they died, that's when he started to become, back. He knew that's when he was gonna start, being himself again. So he's first revealed himself once he was fighting Kakashi, and that's when Kakashi was like, "Whoa, hey, you look different. You're just like you're Madara, aren't you?" But you could tell in his eyes that he's trying to think. He's like, holy tits. Holy tits. And so Zetsu plays it like different too. Like Zetsu knew who he was, I believe. Knows who he is, I believe. He should know. I mean, if he doesn't know who Toby is, then this is just kind of a failed thing. But Toby and Zetsu are, I know, linked. They have to be. They look kind of similar. Oh, it's kind of like that one type of theories that always are horrible. But okay, let's go. Let's go to do this. So let's see. I'm